She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cock-a-crow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cock-a-crow, dog-a-bark, donkey bray, horse and they even duck-a-quack. Cock-a-crow, dog-a-bark, donkey bray, horse and they even duck-a-quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day I back down, me now I come home. The naga jackass yard for fetchy load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa. All a sit down just a wait. Moonlight so bright, it's just the right time to listen story or to say a little nursery rhyme. Grandpa voice a echo in the night as he tell the tale. Some picnic are there with fright. Oh, Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma, Bura, Nancy, even Watamuma. Oh, Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma, Bura, Nancy, even Watamuma. Yeah, man, that's the true story that tell the people about life in the country, life in the country.
Good night, everyone. Welcome to the Figuera Show. Tonight you are going to be informed. Knowledge is power. And the more information you have, the more informed you are, the better you are able to make informed decisions. So tonight we are going to have the General Secretary of the Ghana Teachers Union, MP, Miss Coretta McDonald. So we have a lot of things to discuss. And I know that you are going to follow the conversation. You are on 107.1 FM Benschop Radio. Please share the live so that more persons can get involved into the conversation. So tonight, let us invite Miss Coretta McDonald, General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union. Coretta, good night. Welcome to the show. Well, you have been starring the whole of this week. You have been doing a phenomenal job. And before we get into aspects of the union and your role in representing teachers, your friend Priya Manikchan have been accusing you of using the union as a political tool in your defense of teachers, and you have always been defending teachers, even against the very coalition that you represent, by marching against them. So for the listening audience, can you give clarity as a union representative for teachers with different administrations? Can you clarify that misperception the Minister of Education tried to paint you with?
Um, German,
German,
good night
good
to
night
you,
to
and
you, and
where are we
where
getting
are we
this kind
getting
of
this kind of
feedback?
feedback? Go ahead.
All right.
All right.
Good night
Good
again
night
to you
again to
and
you
your
and your
viewers.
viewers.
I'm not even
I'm
sure
not
where
even
to
sure where
start
to start
because this
because
is so
this is so
comical.
comical. Yes.
When
When
Coretta
Coretta
McDonald
McDonald
championed the
championed
cause
the
of the
cause of the
teachers
teachers
against the
against the
coalition in
coalition in
2018,
2018,
he was a
he was a
champion just like the
champion just like the
nurses today.
nurses today.
He was a
He was a
champion.
champion.
But
But
today,
today,
Coretta
Coretta
McDonald is an
McDonald is an
ungrateful dog.
ungrateful dog.
And
And
it's just
it's just
amazing.
amazing.
On one
On
side of
one
the
side of
hand,
the hand
gold
was the
palm,
palm,
gold
gold
medal.
medal.
And then when
And
the
then when
other
the
hand
other
is
hand is
raised,
raised,
you don't
you
get
don't
any
get
medal
any
at all.
medal at all.
But you know
But
what?
you know
I'm
what? I'm
happy
happy
that
that
our
our
viewers,
viewers,
especially our
especially our
teachers,
teachers,
they know
they know
different
different
because
because
they
they
know
know
Coretta
Coretta
McDonald
McDonald
way
way
before she
before she
became
became
MP,
MP,
and they
and
are
they are
aware
aware
that
that
Coretta
Coretta
McDonald would
McDonald would
go
go
the
the
length of
length
this
of this
country
country
to
to
represent
represent
them,
them,
regardless of
regardless of
which
which
administration is
administration is
standing
standing
at the
at
helm.
the helm. Correct, we get a kind of a terrible feedback from you. I don't know what's going on. Yes, so like we have lost Miss McDonald there. So we're gonna try to make efforts to get her back. But Coretta has always been a representative of teachers. She would have served in different administration. Yes, Coretta, you're back. Welcome.
Yes,
Yes,
German,
German,
I
I
recognize that
recognize that
starting this week,
starting
we
this
will be
week,
having
we'll
lots
be
and lots
having
of
lots and lots. Okay, we seem to have lost her again. Yes, she was about to say that we have been having a lot of protest action all across Guyana. All across Guyana. Linden in itself had its own protest action yesterday, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the residents of Linden and Region 10, all of Region 10, who came out and lent support to that protest action, protesting for their human rights, the right to choose what goes into their bodies or not. We believe as a coalition, as the opposition, that the people of Guyana, the citizens of Guyana, must be given the right to choose if they want to be vaccinated or not. We are not against vaccination. What we are against, however, is forced vaccination. And we will stand in defense of all citizens of Guyana for them to have the right to choose to be vaccinated or the right to choose not to be vaccinated. And we believe that is a fundamental right, that is a human right of every individual to have sovereignty over their own bodies, their own temples, and they should make that informed decision whether or not they would like to be vaccinated or not. That is their right. And no government should be allowed, should be encouraged to have a dictatorial position on human beings and their will and their God given right to have dominion over their bodies. So we will continue to stand in defense of such. And it's as a result of such, we would have seen a lot of Guyanese all across the length and breadth of Guyana protesting against this wicked and evil installed administration. We hold the view that Guyanese people, taxpayers, must be allowed to access government services. Yes, welcome back, Miss McDonald. Welcome back.
Chairman,
You,
I
you
don't know. I don't
we
know
we
why we're getting that feedback.
let's go. Let's rumble. Let's rumble. Priya would have been happy if you didn't come back, but the people want to hear what you have to say. So go ahead. You were saying you throughout the week we would have seen mass protest action all across Guyana. So in that
Yes,
respect, you can continue.
and every time we attempt to come on air, we've been have these kinds of distractions. I don't know where it's coming from. Anyhow, let me
Continue. Continue.
Priya thinks that she's going to use all kinds of sidebar to distract from the main issue. Let me tell her now, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Some fellow who claims to be a grade six teacher, I saw him sending a letter to the editor of the Chronicle newspaper today talking about me making reference to grade six teachers. And I'm going to repeat that again tonight. The grade six teachers, they work to ensure that teachers are ready for the national grade six exam. Secondary school teachers work too. And so if we were going to make consideration or put some provision in place to grant them an extra month, then that same consideration should be given to the teachers.
Yes. Oh, we seem to have lost Miss McDonald. What she's saying is that all teachers should have been given the same consideration. You cannot use teachers throughout the year. Let them mark um, common entrance papers, NGSA papers. And I really want correct Miss McDonald to come back for us to discuss that because it is alleged that the Minister of Education was visiting the designated location where these exam papers are being marked. I think it's Tutorial High consistently. We all know that she has a child who is of that age who would have written those exams. But what is most concerning is why is it that the Minister of Education has chosen to go to the said location and basically intimidate the markers. The markers seem very uncomfortable. A lot of the teachers who were there were very uncomfortable with the minister's presence, overlooking what they were doing as if they are incapable of doing their work as competent professionals. And they were very much concerned that the Minister of Education, they said it's unprecedented. We would have never had a minister of education whose child would have written the examination and complained about how some of the subjects were a little difficult, more in particular science. And as a result of such, she wants to know how the teachers are marking. Could you believe that? She's not trained as a teacher, but she is there coming to the said institution designated to mark these papers. We're trained professional teachers who do this every single year. They have the know how, they have the experience, they have been doing it for years. And here comes the minister who knows nothing about the teaching profession and the challenges, more specifically, that she's not addressing. But she's coming at the location where teachers are marking the National Grade 6 examination, as an examination that her daughter wrote, and the teachers are very uncomfortable. And not to say that she went there once, but she went there on multiple occasions, making the teachers very uncomfortable. It's unprecedented, and the question is why? Why would the Minister of Education choose to go at the location, knowing fully well of the perception that it may have on the general public, on the teachers, with regards to why would she go to the location, knowing fully well that some teachers may be inclined to be afraid. Yes, correct. I was just bringing the attention to the listening audience, to the viewing public, that the Minister of Education, your friend Miss Priya um, Manichan, would have visited Tutorial High, where the NGSA papers are being marked, and a lot of the teachers were very much uncomfortable about that. As a union, as the general secretary of the Garden Teachers Union, how would you respond to that? I was told that that was unprecedented. A minister of education in there.
I don't know what happened with my family.
We hear you. Proceed, proceed, proceed.
Are you hearing me now?
Clear, very clear, loud and clear.
Are you hearing me?
Are you hearing me? Yes, yes. Go ahead.
All right. I don't know what was so special about marking of grade 6 paper this year. Because Priya served as Minister of Education before. She never visited the site before to talk with the markers. But this year she visited the site and she went there on numerous, more than one day. The thing is, we have to be very, very careful because in our society, people tend to take things differently, and you can't get upset with people for having their own opinions on things. More so, the fact that the minister's daughter would have written the exams this year. I would have thought that the minister, even if you had gone there on the first day to talk with the teachers, maybe to say that you're happy that they're there and you expect that they'll do their best and so on. After that day, you didn't need to go there to look as if you're trying to spoon feed or coerce or that kind of thing. And as a professional person, I would not have done that. I have marked grade 6 papers before on more than one occasion. And I have never seen the chief education officer back then, who was Mr. Ed Caesar, and then we had the acting chief education officer, who acted for a long time, Mr. Genevieve Whitehead, coming in there to give any pep talk or any kind of thing like that. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that the minister's appearance there on the first day that it was bad. I'm saying that she went out there to give support to the markers. But after that day, because those examination papers are supposed to be marked on the strict examination rules, you should not have been there. And if you see some of the pictures showing you the minister there, you would see some of the appearances, the manner in which she dressed, they were just casual. As if to say, well, I could turn up here, I could say this, I could say that. But again, Jermaine and Tom viewers, that is just, that's just how they operate. They just don't care.
Very uncomfortable.
I can't hear you though.
I'm told that your teachers were very uncomfortable.
Let me go out and come in again and let's see what happens.
Okay, no problem. But I must bring to the viewing public attention that 4 schools so far, I've been told, has been identified for the vaccination drive, ages 12 to 17, St. Joseph High, North Georgetown Secondary, Richard Ishmael Secondary, and Tutorial High. Those 4 secondary schools are identified for a vaccination drive. But what is also important to note is that the Minister of Health, Mr. Dr. Frank Anthony, has indicated, and he said this: the Delta variant is more infectious. We see it affecting children in a more adverse way. So it is important that children get vaccinated. The Delta variant is more. Are you with us? Are you hearing me now?
I'm hearing you. Are you hearing?
Yes. What I was saying. I mean, you were trying to finish your point. So go ahead, and then I'll reiterate this point that I would have made.
Yes. I was saying that this is just that's the way they operate. Yeah. They don't care. They don't want to be like doing. And I'm saying that because of the expressions that we were examples. Just 2 days ago, We saw
saw
the
the
Prime
Prime
Minister's
Minister's
rep,
rep,
her
her
son,
son,
mercilessly
mercilessly
beating his
beating his
partner
partner
in the
in the
streets.
streets.
We saw
We saw
Carson
Carson
shooting a young
shooting a young
lady.
lady.
We
We
saw
saw Baron
Barachakio putting
Tapio putting
Barnsley
Barnsley
out.
out.
We
We
saw
saw
the
the boy
the one who
the one
talked
who
about
talked about
stripping
stripping
and
and
slapping
slapping the
the activist.
activists.
He's now
He's
very
now very
restaurant.
restaurant.
So
So
this is
this is
just
just
them.
them.
They just
They
don't
just
care
don't
about
care about
they don't
they don't
see
see
anything. They
anything.
don't
They
see
don't see
professionalism in
professionalism in
anything.
anything.
What they
What
see
they
is
see
the
is
rubber
the other
thing,
thing,
the
the
street yard
street yard
behavior.
behavior.
So okay, what I was saying, I was informing the public that four secondary schools in Georgetown were identified for a vaccination drive for the students 12 to 17 years old. And I would have indicated St. Joseph High, North Georgetown, Richard Ishmael, and Tutorial I. And parents are advised to accompany their kids and more so walk with a birth certificate to verify their age. And added to that, we would have seen the Minister of Health putting out a statement where he indicated that the Delta variant is more infectious. We see it in we see it in affecting children in a more adverse way, and it is important that children get vaccinated. Now, this is indeed a worrying situation, and I'm saying it's worrying because here we have the Minister of Health saying that this is the effects if a child is would have contracted COVID and more so the Delta variant. Is the Minister of Health saying to Guyana in a cunning way that the Delta variant is in Guyana? He hasn't made that public. So is this what this statement is saying? And what are your views on the position of the vaccination drive for our children? Because we would have seen in the past week, even up to yesterday and even this morning, protest action going on where persons are saying, I must have the right to choose if I should be vaccinated or not.
Um,
Um,
Germany,
Germany,
I at
I
this
at this
point
point,
I'm not
I'm not
sure
sure
what I
what
should
I should
believe
believe
when I
when I
listen to
listen to
utterances or when
utterances
I
or when I
read
read
what is being
what is
said
being
by the
said by
Minister
the
of
Minister of
Education
Education
or the
or the
Minister of
Minister of
Health,
Health,
because they have
because
been
they have been
saying
saying
things
things
so
so
often to
often
us
to us
that you
that
really
you
don't
really don't
understand.
understand.
I
I
remember when
remember when
a rep
a
from,
rep
I think
from,
it
I
was
think it's
Paco,
Paco,
said to
said
this
to this
nation
nation
that the
that the
Delta
Delta
variant is
variant
here.
is here.
The
The
Minister of
Minister of
Health,
Health,
Parliament, you would
Parliament, you would
remember,
remember,
claimed that he
claimed
didn't
that he
know.
didn't know.
He had
He
no
had no
idea that
idea
this
that
was
that was
happening.
happening.
And
And
so
so,
after
after
that, we
that,
heard
we
him
heard him
talking about
talking
it
about
is
it is
likely to
likely
be
to be
here.
here.
Now you
Now
hear him
you hear
saying
him saying
something else.
something else.
We're not
We're
sure
not
what
sure
these
what
fellas
these
are
fellas are
saying.
saying.
They
They
seem not to
seem
know
not to know
anything.
anything.
And for
And for
parents,
parents,
I want
I
to
want
say
to
that
say
we
that
are
we
not
are not
against
against
vaccination.
vaccination.
If it's a
If it's a
parent's
parent,
right,
right?
if you
If
want to
you
give
want to
consent
give
to your
consent
children
to
to
your
have
children to have
the
the
vaccine,
vaccine,
we're not
we're
against
not
that.
against that.
What we're
What we're
against
against
is forced vaccines or mandatory vaccines for adults, for public servants, for every single worker within this country who has to operate here to gain their livelihood. That is what we're against.
Okay, correct. I mean, we have said that. I think we would have been very clear, very pellucid about our position. We're not against forced vaccination, but we cannot move off from this topic just like that. We're not against vaccination. What we're against is forced
Not against
not against
vaccination.
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 What the minister has said is very frightening, because if he's saying that this variant and it is in Guyana, it is far more infectious. But the Minister of Health has taken a policy decision to lock out healthcare workers. So if we have a very infectious virus, strand of COVID, and our healthcare providers or frontline workers are not being allowed to go into their place of work, and that is because they're not in possession of a vaccine card. And I think it's important for us to also state, and I heard you also on Facebook and on other um, platforms would have indicated that having a vaccine card doesn't mean that you're COVID free, because the sciences have shown and have proven that even the vaccinated, fully vaccinated, are still contracting COVID. So the question is, should the
My
vaccinated also
German,
have a PCR test?
German, my mother, she had both doses and nearly died from COVID. My mother. So this is not a make-up story. My mother. I don't know.
Go ahead, Coretta. Go ahead.
Yes, but I will say it, German. The Minister of Health is saying this to us, but the Minister of Education is forcing for the reopening of schools. You notice? Forcing for the reopening of schools, even at the nursery level. And I'm hoping that right thinking parents who are listening to us, they are going to make the right decisions for the safety of their children, because we've moved now from the virus attacking adults and it's attacking children. Don't forget, we got just about 2 or 3 months ago an 11-year-old that died from COVID. We had a 16-year-old and two 17-year-olds, in addition to the numbers that they're hiding. And so in that infectious hospital there at Liliendal, we had several 8-year-olds who were stricken with the virus, 7-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and they weren't giving us those kinds of information. It was when the parents of some of those children started speaking out, then we got the Minister of Health, the installed Minister of Health, let me say that, to come out and to come and break that kind of information to the nation. And so I don't know what they're hiding, but the fact is, if you are so concerned, if it's because you so care, why is it that you want to put the nation's children in harm's way? But I want to say to our viewers, I want to remind them that Barajagio said the reality is people will have to die. And so I would want to say to us, the reality is, as we're seeing it unfolding, maybe children will have to die. And those who are sensible, you would know what to do. Those parents who are sensible, you would know what to do. Because we have a vaccine here that would cater for, even though it doesn't protect you in any way, it would cater for 12 to 17-year-olds. What is going to happen with the 11-year-olds and the 3-3 or 3-6? What is happening with them? What provisions do we have in place for them? And you see, this whole thing is so crazy. As adults, and I keep saying this all the time, as adults, we find it difficult to wear these masks for an hour, for half an hour, for 15 minutes. And we want to put that kind of stress, let me say that, on those little 3, 2, 3, 6, 3, 9 years old. And you have, mind you, I noticed a memo going out from the Ministry of Education for the nursery sector, where the children are going to be in school for a 2 hours period. 2 hours in the morning, I think from 8 to 10, and then you have from 11 to 1, something to that effect. I'm going to get the full the timing, but it's for a 2-hour period they're going to be in school for, and they're going to be there rotating days. Why do we want to punish our children like that? Why do we want to punish the nation's children? But again, this responsibility is that of the parents. And you know what I find very, very, very disturbing is the fact that we have a Minister of Education that has no class. Because when a Minister of Education would stand in front of a mic and say to the nation, for those parents who don't want to send their children to school, keep them at home and homeschool them yourselves. Huh? Coming from the Minister of Education, when parents have real issues, we have, let's move, if we can move off from the nursery children. apart from highlighting the fact that some of them are asthmatic and they have anxiety issues and so on, let's look at those with special needs, the David Rose Special School. How do we cater for those children? Nobody's thinking about that. None whatsoever. And I'm saying this government, they don't care about the people of this country. They care about the little pocket, their friends and their cronies and their families. Because if we look at what is happening across this country with every other sector, with the contracts, with the issuing of COVID grants, with the issuing of flood relief grants, it's all full confusion in it. Just last night we saw the stall holders on the Essequibo coast at and Regina Market there. The police and some thugs went there at 1 o'clock in the morning to break those people's stalls. And so are these actions of a caring government? I really would want to know. Really, really would want to know.
Correct. We have seen the position taken by the Ministry of Health and more so the government with regards to restricting health service providers from accessing their place of employment. Now the teachers, and I say this because I was at the hospital this morning where nurses were locked out, as well as other employees of the hospital were locked out because they weren't in possession of the vaccination cards. And I heard one of the nurses said, I want of them do this to the teachers. So in light of that question, can you shed some light for the teachers who are viewing tonight's program? Where does the union stand in regards to government probably thinking about prohibiting teachers from accessing their place of employment without a vaccine card?
First of all, let me say to you, Jermaine, and to our viewers, that we would deem that act as one of the most wickedest acts if that were to happen to teachers. Because we had the same teachers working all through the pandemic when we had the vaccine, working with the students, going out into communities, distributing worksheets, collecting worksheets, marking them, interacting with parents, those in the secondary schools having face-to-face contact with the students, and they were unvaccinated. We saw these very unvaccinated teachers distributing cash grant, the $19,000 cash grant. We saw these very, very teachers attending workshops. These same teachers unvaccinated marking grade 6 assessment papers, the mock exams and the real ones. And for you to tell teachers now when it's time for them to return to the classrooms that they can't come into the classrooms because they're not vaccinated, well, all hell gonna break loose. Let me say that. Because our teachers are ready with boots on the ground. We have taken serious note of what transpired at the Ministry of Education 26 Brick Dam a few days ago with staff at the Ministry of Education. And we are waiting. We are waiting to see what is going to happen when teachers are expected to resume duties. As a matter of fact, coming out of one set of our consultation that we had last night, where we had a Zoom forum with our teachers across this country, and then we streamed that live on Facebook, and it was streamed on 2 other platforms. And we saw in excess of 3,000 plus almost 4,000 teachers on that forum, something to that effect. This kind of consultation will continue throughout this week, tomorrow, over the weekend, Monday. But one of the positions that we've already taken is that our teachers will withhold their services with regards to the preterm activities, because we have asked the Ministry of Education and the Minister of Education to retract the statement that was made, that position, that restriction that they've placed on teachers, that teachers must be vaccinated. We've asked that teachers be made to access departments of education to conduct their business. We recognize that that has been on the down low for a while, where the restriction was eased somewhat, but teachers still have to go to other entities to conduct their businesses. And so if you're not going to ease the restrictions, then serious repercussions will occur. But I want to say to now to our teachers, keep your ears out. Be part of the meetings that we're going to be having, because we are going to say in no uncertain terms, and we're not going to be flowering up anything. We will say it as straight as it is. If our teachers have to go into schools by providing a vaccination card, and our teachers are saying we are not going to be forced to take any vaccines, and that is going to become an issue, then the teachers will decide where to go, what to do. What I know for sure is that whenever that time comes around, teachers will turn up for work, as long as that decision, that kind of guidance is given to them by their union. Teachers will report for work. And when we report for work, and there's another situation that presents itself there, the coin will spin differently. I want to say that. I want to say that much without going too much into what we're going to do. We have also sought legal advice on this issue, because the thing here, Jermaine, is that this government is so reckless that they have trampled on the constitution of this country. They have trampled on all the conventions that they are signatories to, and the occupational health and safety regulations say to us, if the employer is requiring from the employee something outside of, then the employer must fit that cost. And so if you want me to come with a test every 2 or 3 days, then you have to foot the bill, not me. But I want to go a little further than that. I want to say to us that this government, again, they're only about themselves. Because if you look at what they're doing, where they are giving you direct information to say, to go and conduct the test, you have to go to this entity or that entity or the other entity. They are telling you exactly where you have to go. They're not allowing you to go to entities free of your choice. They are saying where you must go, and they're telling you which one of the tests you must conduct. Now, if that is not dictatorship, then I don't want to see what else is. But we'll go the walk. Since they want to walk, we'll go the walk. And I want to say to us that as we speak, nurses and other staff of the Georgetown Hospital, they're standing outside of the Georgetown Hospital. And I'm sure the same thing is happening in Region 10. But I'm wondering, why aren't we having this same kind of action in Region 6, in Region 2, in Region 5, and other regions where the PPP have dominated with regards to their votes, where their supporters are? Why aren't we having these same kinds of restrictions being placed on healthcare workers or frontline workers in those instances?
Very good question, and only the PPP can answer that question. But Coretta, what is interesting with your explanation with respect to the duties our nation builders were performing before vaccination came on the scene? Those are the very arguments the healthcare providers would have articulated, and we would have seen the posture of government. But I think that the response to the teachers of this country, the government will definitely have a different position, because all and sundry knows that the Ghana Teachers Union is one of the most powerful unions in this country who will defend their teachers, because the teachers demand that their elected official work on their behalf, and you guys are working on our behalf. So the question is, because I was there this morning and one of the nurses was saying, forget, I like we got a Johnny got a teachers union. So, Coretta, the teachers are in Region 10. I can speak on behalf of Region 10 because I am also a teacher, and I know my colleagues in Region 10 will get um ready, set, go whenever the union call to take whatever action to defend their rights. And I trust that this is a replication all across the country. And the teachers union has always had a good response of their members whenever the union makes a decision that is in their best interest. So we're waiting and we're observing, So, but Coretta, what is interesting, the Minister of Health has indicated to this nation in a cunning way that the Delta variant is here. You're not hearing me? Okay. Okay, my question to Miss Coretta when she comes back on is that the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, has indicated to the Guyanese population in a very cunning way that the Delta variant is in Guyana and it is far more infectious. Are you hearing me now, Coretta?
Yes, I'm
Yes,
hearing
I'm
you.
hearing you.
Why we're
Why
getting
we're
knocked
getting knocked
on.
on.
Yes. The Minister of Health has indicated that the Delta variant is in Guyana and is far more infectious, and he's advising that our kids be vaccinated. But the healthcare workers are being locked out. And more importantly, if we are to look across the region to our sister CARICOM country, Trinidad and Tobago, the same proposed date for the reopening of school, which is the 6th of September, the Prime Minister would have indicated that school will be reopened, but on a virtual platform. What is going on here in Guyana? When the Minister of Health would have failed to put a hand on COVID and the widespread of the virus. Why haven't we considered this position? Has the union proposed such as well? Or what are some of the recommendations the Guyana Teachers Union would have given to the government of
I'm
Guyana?
sorry about
Sorry
that.
about that.
That's as a
That's as a
result of me
result of me being
out on the
out on the
square.
square.
Yes.
But Chairman, from the inception, we posited to the Minister of Education since last year that since we're faced with COVID, one of the first things we should do is to try to acquire gadgets for teachers. We went further to say that the union would be willing to join with the Ministry of Education to engage the two communications giants, asking them to prepare special packages for teachers and for students during this COVID period when they have to conduct online classes. Those suggestions were heard, but you know what? They were not acted upon because they're coming from the GTU, and Corrector is a part of the GTU, and Corrector is APNU AFC, not member of parliament, activists. So if we were to act on that, it would make the ministry, in their sight, it would make them look small. But on a serious note, as partners, we are genuine in our approaches. We are genuine when we make suggestions. And we would hope that when we make suggestions to our partners and to our counterparts at the Ministry of Education, that they would want to gladly listen, discuss, and we move forward. Now, when I spoke about the $19,000, giving the $19,000 to parents, and we term that Because We Care School grant, I said then that it was a waste of time to be giving monies to parents. And I went further to say, I am saying that because of these factors. One, many of those parents were dismissed by this same illegal regime. So if you put $19,000 into the hands of parents, the first thing that any caring parent would do is to secure food for their families. That's the first thing they would do. School and school business will come after. That's going to come after. I can't talk about school business and buy exercise books and pencil and geometry set and so on when my children are hungry. So that's the first thing that parents would do. Secondly, I said, rather than having parents putting the $19,000 in parents' hand and telling them to go out there, because we're not sure when this whole issue of COVID is going to come to an end. So rather than saying you're putting $19,000 cash into parents' hand and you're asking them to go and secure school materials, the ministry should have been sensible enough to do that for the parents, to secure tablets, laptops, and whatever other materials we know that children would need, and give that, present those to the parents. But you know what they did? They are very good, if we know the PPP, they are very good at spinning everything that you say. So they spun that around and they said, oh, Coretta McDonald she wants to be a dictator. She doesn't want the parents to receive the cash because her government didn't give the parents cash then, or this amount. She wants us to go and buy stuff and give it to the parent. They don't want you to spend your own monies, which is foolishness. And I would want to say to them, just what Jagvio said a couple of mornings ago, that they are the ones who are mentally retarded, not the coalition supporters. They're the ones who are mentally retarded. Because as we see it now, when students are going to be home, I've seen, let me talk about the primary school. I've seen in some primary schools where, and let me talk about my son. My son he's going into grade 2 now. I've seen a schedule from his school which says that he must attend school on Monday. His class is going to be divided into 2 groups. So half of the class, group 1, will go to school on Mondays and Wednesdays. Group 2 will go to school. They're going to be going to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then on Fridays, they all meet in school. Some in the morning and some in the afternoon. Now, what happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays, if my child is in group 1 and he has to go to school on Monday, Wednesday, and half day Friday, what happens on Tuesday, whole day, Wednesday, whole day, and half day of Friday? What happens then? Is it that my child is going to be at home? Maybe they're going to give him booklets, and I'm going to have to supervise my son. How is that going to work? I'm not sure how that is going to work, because many of these same parents, some of them would have to go to work because the public servants are not on rotation. So I'm not sure how that is going to work out, but I'm trying to find out what is going to be happening to the children for those 2.5 days that they're not going to be attending school. Maybe I'll have to take my son with me to my work site and get him to do whatever work there. In another way, if we had presented gadgets to them, then all that you would have had to do is send the stuff to them, and they have them there where they can go through on their gadget, they can go through on their device, and whatever work that is needed to be written in their books, they're going to get that done. I'm not sure, maybe they'll give them workbooks to work with, but this is how crazy this system is. And what I'm saying here, this is an individualized approach that is going to be used from one school. I'm not sure what is the approach that is going to be used in other schools. So we might very well find that in 5 primary schools, we have 5 different approaches, 6 different approaches in 6 different schools. And the regions will vary. We might have region 1 doing something, region 2 doing something. I just don't know, but it sounds like pure madness in the system. And all it is saying is that people are not sitting down, thinking constructively, having good discussions, and arriving at positions. People just want to play monkey see, monkey do. And you know, this is a track record of the PPP. Everything they see happen in the US and somewhere else and somewhere else and somewhere else, not even close in the Caribbean, somewhere outside of the Caribbean, they want to adapt and to bring here. And that is why we had the No Child Left Behind, because they saw that happening in the US, where the US has got so many systems in place, but they just bring it and dump it in Guyana when they don't even have the system in place to cover the No Child Left Behind. And so I'm waiting to see how this whole business would play out. In the secondary schools, I've seen them sending out survey sheets, asking head teachers, with giving head teachers options and asking head teachers to choose which option would work best for you. Now that the head teachers would have chosen the options that they want, the Ministry of Education, they're now saying to the head teachers, we don't want you to do this way that you said. We want you to do it this way because we are saying it this way. So secondary schools would have chosen option 2, where they're saying we're going to open full face-to-face for the examination classes. But the grades 7 to 9, they are going to be doing online schooling. The ministry is saying no. From grades 9 to grades 11, and in some instances, grades 12, they're going to have full school. And the grades 7 and 8, they are going to do online classes. Now, you are not the practitioner. You are not on the ground. So how is it that you are dictating for me how I should run my school? So I'm waiting to see if that happens, because Jermaine, you and I would know, and every viewer out there would know that to go into schools, we have to do the 6 feet apart. And in many of our secondary schools, we have 30 and more in a class. Now, if we're going to do the 6 feet apart, and we've done this before, in many instances, only 7, in some instances, 8 or 9 students can hold in a room. So if you have one class with 30, you see how many rooms we have to get for that one class. Do we have the amount of teachers to man those three classes that are now going to be formed? Do we have enough room in school to be able to fill the gap with regards to all of these classes that are now going to be broken up, to accommodate them? Do we have those facilities in place? I'm just waiting to see how this whole thing is going to unfold. But again, it shows absolute madness in the education system, because we're not allowing the professionals, who I'm very disappointed with. We're not allowing the professionals to conduct the business of education in the education sector.
So indeed, we are in a very sad position right now. Apparently, the ministry don't have a comprehensive plan for the reopening of school that they want that to happen. The devices. I mean, if the ministry is claiming that they don't have sufficient funds to buy these devices, have they considered? I mean, most families, most households have a television in their homes, and I would want to believe that that is accompanied by a DVD player. Why not pay the teachers or lecturers to do the syllabus on video, and you give each child the DVD so that they could replay it and replay it? I mean, we have to look at different methods. And if the head teachers would have suggested what is best for their school because they understand the culture of their school, then the ministry is now saying that they don't want that. It creates an unnecessary conundrum. So how do we move forward? I mean, we have 5 minutes remaining, Coretta. So, in your wrap up, could you give your teachers those reassurance once again about the level of representation the Guyana Teachers Union will bring to them, and more so where we are coming September with the ministry disregarding the head teachers' suggestion on how we should move forward.
But German, let me say to our teachers, and this is a form of reassurance, that the executive of the union will continue, not only the central executive, but the entire general council rep will continue to support every single teacher across this country. We have branches, and you would know that, Jeremy, all across this country, 42 branches across this country. And whatever direction is given by the union, we will stand with you as we have been standing over the years. This year will not be any different. We have seen, and Jermaine, I just want to touch on this. We have seen what has happened in Barbados. The prime minister in Barbados went out there and had consultation with her people. Why is it so hard for this government to do that? You know why? Because they have recognized that our people are not stupid and they can't go out there to tell the people any and anything because people got too many questions for them. So they're afraid to go out there. But coming back to our teachers, like the president said last night, boots on the ground. And we're going to be hitting it off from right there because together we will stand with each other. Together, our teachers will stand and give support to every nurse and every public servant out there because we depend on each other for support. We depend on each other for your services. And so while we would want to teach, while we are going to go out there to teach your children, we depend on you to complete our forms at personnel and so on when we go to the different agencies, GRA and everywhere else. We have to go to the hospitals. And so I don't only want to make this call to teachers, but I want to say to every worker in this country, every parent in this country, every right-minded citizen in this country, this is our time to stand up and lash out and to lash back at this kind of dictatorial behavior that is being unleashed upon us. I want to remind us that Guyana is not a plantation. Guyana is a cooperative republic. We are an independent nation. And the Massa days finish. We are not going through that again. And I just want to say to the PPP trolls out there, Coretta MacDonald will always be Coretta MacDonald. And there is nothing that any one of you out there can say to the teachers and to the public out there who are right-minded to get them to doubt anything that Coretta MacDonald sets out to do or would have done before or is about to do now. People know what Coretta MacDonald stands for, and I will continue to stand that way. So you can say what you want. It's not going to move us. And Jermaine, let me say to you, I know what is bothering them because they know that GTU's election is up next year, so they think they can throw all these things out there and try to sway teachers' minds and so on. But our teachers, when they hold one head, they hold one head. And they ain't got no outsider could come and sway them. So no $19,000 can't sway them. No promised positions can't sway them because they know how the system operates. So prayer that's for you tonight. And that is for all your trolls out there. Let them know, regardless of how ungrateful you call me, I was never ungrateful to Priya, Jagdio, or none of them. I did what I was supposed to do. And anything, any benefit I would have gotten from the PPP government then, and whatever I will get now, it comes under the umbrella of the GTU. And I've been throwing this out to them. I am giving you the authority. Tell the nation, tell the entire world what you would have done for Coretta MacDonald. And if at any time Coretta MacDonald would have signed any underhand deals with you, you tell it to the public. Tell everybody, I give you the permission to do that. And on that ground, Jermaine, I want to say, I will continue to stand for my people. Regardless of race, color, or creed, I will continue to stand for the right of the people of this country, and our rights are not going to be trampled upon.
Thank you very much, Ms. Coretta MacDonald, General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union, passionate representative for her teachers, Member of Parliament, Coretta MacDonald. Thank you very much for being our guest here tonight on 107.1 FM, Benschop Radio. Thank you very much, Coretta MacDonald. Listening audience, we want to thank you for tuning in to Benschop Radio on 107.1, where knowledge is power, where you are always informed, straight up right here on 107.1 Benschop Radio. Thank you very much for listening, and do have a blessed night. Be safe.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a